Apparel company PVH is a major force in the fashion business. It's behind big name brands like Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. In its latest earnings report, PVH said profits rose 12%. Now for more, we are joined by none other than Manny Chirico. He's chairman and CEO of PVH, and also with me is our very own Hitha Prabhakar. Good to have you both here this morning. And Mandy, this has been a tough year for any CEO, but for you in particular as a retailer, you're managing commodities fluctuations, currency fluctuations, and of course everything that is happening globally in terms of a slowdown. What's been the biggest headwind, or what's been the biggest challenge this year? Well,
I guess commodity prices have been the biggest challenge, putting pressure on gross margin and really challenging us from that perspective. But the consumer has really hung in there, especially the premium consumer, with our two lead brands, Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger.
Now, you still managed to pull out a pretty good year, certainly in terms of top line and bottom line. Even the stock is doing well year to date compared to the broader market. What do you expect for 2012?
Well, it's a real challenge for us, because when you sit back and look at the macro environment, you can't help but be somewhat concerned. But we continue to see, as we look at our businesses, especially led by the two brands, Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, that business continues to grow at a double-digit pace. Our comp stores continue to be very strong, both here and in Europe. So we're feeling good about the base business, but trying to be conservative when we look at the global environment.
Now, Manny, you were saying how Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein represent 80% of your business. How much of that business is taking place in the BRIC countries as opposed to Europe?
About 10% of the business is in those BRIC countries. Those countries are growing somewhere north of 30%. Significant growth going on there, but still for the next 2 years, the drivers of the business will be North America and Europe principally, with a lot of wind at our backs from those developing countries.
Are you looking to expand at all, or we've been talking a lot about companies that have had cash on the balance sheet. Many are looking to stock buybacks, looking to dividends, or looking to acquisitions. Any of those three that you see in the future?
Well, I think acquisitions will continue to be a critical part of our strategy. We'll continue to look for two types of acquisition. One will be more consolidating of both the Calvin Klein brand and the Tommy Hilfiger brand by bringing in regions around the world that are now under license arrangements with partners, bringing those businesses in-house. We've done that in India, we've done that in China, and we've done that with some product categories throughout the world, footwear, accessories, and it's really helped our growth significantly to gain more control over the brands. And at the same time, I think we'll be looking for opportunities to grow with other lifestyle brands at the premium level.
Now, Manny, Phillips Van Heusen is a client of Penney. In terms of pricing strategy, there's been talk that Penney is going to be restructuring their pricing strategy. It's going to look more like Walmart. How is that going to impact PVH?
Well, look, they haven't clearly laid out their totality of their strategy at this point. We have some great national brands there, Van Heusen and Izod, that are a very big part of their portfolio. And we're going to be very supportive of their strategy. It seems on the surface to make a lot of sense. They're trying to bring some real credibility to the price points and take some of the confusion out of the market with the constant sales that are going on. So we'll continue to support them in a big way. They're one of our top 3 customers in the world. And I think the strategy that they have in place is one that for the long term will really provide growth for their shareholders.
Manny, from your perspective, it's always interesting to see, we talk to a lot of economic forecasters. Where do you see growth next year in terms of real GDP growth, real buying, real strength, or areas that seem sort of insulated from what we keep referring to as a global slowdown?
Well, I think our focus tends to be on brands, and what we see is the premium brands, the brands that are in the higher channels of distribution, really have withstood the last 24 months very well. Our Calvin Klein business, our Tommy Hilfiger business, continues to grow double-digit both here and around the world. Comp store increases continuing into the fourth quarter for both of those brands in North America in excess of 10%. And in Europe, with our Tommy Hilfiger business that we operate directly there, our comp stores continue in the mid-teens. So I know there's a lot of concern about that whole European market, but we continue to see significant growth there and have not seen any slowdown when it comes to the Tommy brand.
All right, really appreciate that insight. We got to leave it there. Thank you so much.
So much to see.
Manny Chirico, Chairman and CEO of PVH, and of course my colleague, Hitha Prabhakar.